All right, everyone. So, I recently got the Atari 7000 Plus. I actually pre-ordered this thing a while back, basically when it was first announced. Went in and pre-ordered it, got the extra controller, and one of these games here actually saved Mary here. I actually ordered this thing like over, I want to say at least like a year ago, because this is the limited edition version or the special edition version. So yeah, picked up a couple of other games with it, and let's go ahead and open all this stuff up to get an extra controller. Now, this is actually something I didn't realize, but these wireless CX70 Plus controllers, the wireless ones, I didn't realize they actually come with two dongles inside. One for the DB9, basically the port for the system, and a USB one. So that's actually kind of cool. Now, I don't know if this is actually like Bluetooth or not, or if it's like a RF signal, but nonetheless, you actually have options to either use it for the Atari-based consoles or just use it on PC. So that's actually kind of cool. But we'll just, for now, let's actually put all the games and stuff on the side. Let's go ahead and open up the system. That's going to be the interesting part of this. And here it is. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is essentially like a reskin from the 2600 Plus. And I would say that's mostly true. The hardware is slightly improved, but I think it's more that this is essentially the one where, you know, if they are going to come out with a reskin, that the parts available, at least for it, is going to be what it is. So let's go ahead and just get this thing opened up. But nonetheless, if you already have a 2600 Plus, you could literally just buy the game since it is compatible with 7000, and you'll be fine. You can even just buy the wireless controllers if you want. But I figure it's like, you know what? I have a little bit more fond of the 7000 than I did with the 2600. I do have to say though, this is actually nice packaging they did here. You can definitely tell that you can actually tell that, you know, even though it's like $130 for this thing, you can definitely tell like, all right, you're actually getting a somewhat premium product. Because a lot of times what happens is that you buy something and then like the packaging and everything with it just seems very cheap. Now I could be wrong. I could just open this up and be like, what the hell? But let's go ahead and open this up. Yep. Kind of similar packaging from the 2600 Plus. So, you know what? Might be easier if I just do this. Alright, got that box there. I'll grab this here. And this, the large box, I'll just put to the side. So we'll just put that to the side for now. Let's see what's inside here. So this is most likely going to be the controller and all the cables. And the game. So you got your HDMI cable. And this is actually kind of neat because they are Atari branded. Same thing with these cables. Now it looks like you do, yeah, you get two USB-C cables. You also get the controller and the game. So let me take the game out. Here's the wireless controller for it. Here's the USB dongle. DB9 dongle for it. And I just dropped it in. This is why when people have those controllers, they tend to lose this part because it's literally just a small piece of plastic. But essentially what this is, it's like a little thing you screw in, and it basically gives you this little stick thing. Yeah, this is screwed in. So you screw it in like that, and that would basically give you like a D-pad thing. I'll be honest with you, because I actually have the wired version of this. This stick, to me, while I understand why they did it for a nostalgia stick, it's kind of useless. So, yeah. Anyway, let's throw that to the side. Now, the reason why I got these, I already have the wired ones, but because these are wireless, I figure it's going to be just easier to play when they're wireless. I don't have to worry about the short cords, getting the extensions and all that stuff. You know, it's just more convenient. Good thing they had the piece of plastic there. So, you got your quick start guide and instruction manual for Crystal Castle, the game that comes with it. It would have been kind of neat if they actually gave you like a fold-up box I can put together, but it is what it is. Let's take this piece off. And here's the system itself. These are not the same. I don't think these are the same style buttons. I have to say though, this is a nice looking system here, I must say. Now, obviously, it is meant to play original cartridges, so you can play 7000 and 2600 games on this thing. My understanding that at least when it comes to 7000 games, and this is true on the 2600 Plus, is that for the most part, it's it's pretty much 100% compatible. 2600, it's like in the 90-95% range of compatibility from my understanding. So it's not like completely 100%, but at least when it comes to 7000, it's pretty much 100%. So if you are someone that is more into the 7000 than the 2600, you can at least be aware that when it comes to the 7000, this thing is pretty much compatible. So the receiver will basically go in here, and then you got your thing here. So let's take a look at the game itself. So here's the actual cartridge, and then it just goes in. is squeaking like a mother. Hang on a second. Let me grab my 2600 plus. Ironically, the 1700 plus is actually a little bit smaller. But these are the same cartridge ports, so let me take this one. Yeah, it doesn't do that. That's so weird. So if I take this, for anyone else that has a 1700 plus, does yours do that? Because that's a little alarming to me. One thing too I will notice is that the 2600 plus is slightly heavier than the 1700 plus. I wonder if one of the things they did was they made it a little bit cheaper to make than the 2600 plus. I wonder if Atari knows that the 1700 plus essentially is going to be a lower volume system than the 2600. But that is just, I will admit that is a little bit alarming that it squeaks like that. But anyway, I'm going to hook this up, play this, and if later on I want to make an update video on my impressions on this, I'll do that. But if it's going to be basically the same kind of experience as the 2600 plus, which from my understanding is mostly is, it is emulation based, and when you do load up games, it does take about like 15 seconds or so to finally load the game in, as it has to dump the ROM from the cartridge to the system. So there's that. But just a quick overview of the system itself. So obviously there's two controller ports. You got your power, pause, select, reset. Your cartridge port, that this one squeaks like crazy when you throw it in a game in there, which is unsettling. You got your HDMI, 16:9, 4:3. I'm just going to switch that over to 4:3. And your USB-C port for power. Now, obviously, if you're going from the 2600 plus to the 1700 plus, you can literally just use the exact same cables that came with it, just because they're the same thing, essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing hooked up, play it, and enjoy it. But before we do that, I'm going to throw this to the side somewhere. I'm not going to really open this since it's going to be the same thing as that. But let's take a look at the games that I ordered. So let me just move all this stuff out of the way for now. not gonna lie, that squeakiness kind of unsettling. I actually might contact them and ask them about that because that squeaks like crazy. But anyway, we'll worry about that later. So the games I got here is Frenzy, Bounty Bob Strikes Back, Caverns of Mars, and Save Mary. Now, this one I ordered, I want to say, almost a year ago. It's actually been quite a while. This is like a limited edition version of it. So that's what this one is. So the big thing about these are re-releases of 7000 games, a re-release of the 2600 version. This one is actually interesting. So this was actually a game that was developed but never officially released until recently. So this is actually something Atari's been doing. This is actually a 2600 game, but this is something Atari's actually been doing for a little while now, is basically re-releasing or officially releasing like either nearly finished games or finished games that were never released back in the day. So that's actually kind of cool, and this is a physical copy version of that. For people that have the Atari VCS, their all digital console, you can actually buy this version on there for a couple bucks. But if you wanted a physical copy, you got this one. So that's actually cool. But let's go ahead and open these up and go from there. So I noticed these are kind of a new thing that they do, and that is compatible with Atari 2600 plus, 7000 plus, and 7800. So the cool thing about these two is that if you do have the original console, you know, the OG 7800, you can actually buy these games and actually play them on there. Because I know there were people out there is like, you know, why would like some of these games have like dip switches and all that stuff? It's like, well, because these are designed to not only play on these new plus versions of systems, but if you have the original consoles, you can actually play those new games on the old consoles. And I think that's something some people out there kind of missed about it or didn't like fully understand it. So we got Frenzy here. And this is how they come in. So you got the game and the manual. Oh, look at that little advertisement for Yars Rising. So yeah, if I take this out of the little sleeve, this is how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the manual back in here. And for physical copies, these are actually not badly priced either. You know, on average, they're about like $30. This one is not, but you know, all of these other ones, they're on average about $30, so it's not terrible. they are nicely packaged. Even for the price, you do get a manual for it. Though I'm kind of curious if they still do the manuals for those 2600 versions now, because that was one of the criticisms, that the earlier versions of these re-releases did not come with manuals, but all of these 7000 versions do. So, manual, obviously in color. Game itself. And like I said before, you can actually use these on the original consoles. Though it is kind of weird how they have ESRB ratings on these things, because I guess because these are newer releases, they needed ratings on these. I'm going to go ahead and throw the manual back in there. Put that to the side. Let's take a look at this Caverns of Mars. All right, let's see if this has a manual inside. There it is. That's pretty cool. So they actually brought the manuals to the 2600 versions of games. I wonder if these are like recreations of the original manuals, or they do like some updates to them. Because I know, like, towards the back, they're gonna do some advertisements for it. But yeah, nonetheless, really cool. Of course, the game. This will work on the 2600, the plus version, 7000, and the plus version of that. So, really cool. And we're going to go ahead and open up this last one here. And that is Save Mary. So this is actually the limited edition version. So the big difference with these versus, like a standard version, though I don't remember if there is like a standard version of Save Mary. I want to say there is, but I can't remember. Obviously, the plastic feels different. But yeah, the big things with these is that these are supposed to mimic the original design for the 2600. So that's going to be like the big difference. So, when you look at this here, this is more of the original aesthetics of the 2600 cartridge. You got the black label here versus, stuff like this. But because this is how the original version of 2600 games labels would be. You know, I'm kind of curious about something. So these two 7800 games, see how the cartridges, the board itself, when you look at these 7800s, you notice there's extra pins on them. So I don't know how well you can see it. But yeah, another thing that okay, I guess there wasn't a sleeve for this. Oh, you know what? Because I don't think they did that. Now that I remember. But anyway, so these are the games I got for it. And I'm going to go ahead and hook it up. And hopefully it works. But I'm pretty sure it works. But that squeakiness on that 7000 Plus, a little bit alarming. Just to take this. I mean, Jesus Christ. Maybe it's one of those things that needs to work in, but okay, so I'll go ahead and end it here. Like always, have a good one. And let me know what you think about these. Do you have one? If you have one of these, let me know if it squeaks like that, because that's a little alarming.